It is Monday, September 29th, 2025. This is another edition of Baseball Today presented to you by Mountain Dew. Looking for a refreshing citrusy kick this summer? Go grab yourself a Mountain Dew. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, intern Sawyer, back for the ride as well. Oh, the season's over, and we're just about to start the great stuff. How are you feeling?
I'm very happy. Number one, love the regular season. It's great. Whatever. This is what it's all about, Chris. I mean, especially we got some storylines coming up. You got reverse momentum for your Guards and the Tigers. We're going to talk about that. You're a non-believer in the Guardians.
Stop it.
I'm a believer in the Guardians.
Stop it. We'll get to all that in just a bit. I hope you had a good family trip and you're well rested for the postseason. We're going to rely on you a lot.
Well rested? No, absolutely not. I mean, I drove an RV 7 hours each way with the kids screaming, and I was unhooking fishing hooks and tying new things on the whole time. But it was a great time. We caught a bunch of fish. My youth team started yesterday 2-0, baby.
That away. It's all about the youth. It's all about the Utes, as we
shout out Brady Rose, by the way.
Yeah.
Birthday and something else.
And a birthday. That away. Good job. I loved visiting him over the weekend at Butler. That was awesome. Love that. Start off with a pair of tips of the cap. There are some guys saying goodbye to this sport. We think one of them might have pitched his final game as an Atlanta Brave. You know, he got traded this year from Baltimore to Detroit, didn't work out there, ended up signing with the Atlanta Braves and pitched on Sunday. Chris Sale went out and got him, shook his hand. His family was there off to the side to meet with him. Yeah, tip of the cap to Charlie Morton, because this is a guy who really didn't start cranking it up till the second half of his career. Kind of reminded me of the pitching version of Adrian Beltre. We're not talking Hall of Fame status with Charlie Morton, but a guy who it really took him a while to kind of discover who he was. And once he did, he was nails.
Yeah, he's been old reliable, and to see this, happen on the field, having his family out there was just really, really special. A guy who makes every single clubhouse better as well. A guy that's, passed on his knowledge of the game to a bunch of young pitchers. There's going to be guys for the foreseeable future who are going to mention Charlie Morton helped me with this. Charlie Morton taught me this. So I think that is almost as important as anything that you do on the field, is kind of like what you leave and what you teach to the next generation. And he's certainly one of those guys that did that.
Yeah, like teaching people how to pitch with a freaking broken leg in the World Series. Now, that's a man. The other one, Washington Nationals, literally a tip of the cap, because during their game on Sunday, they stepped out, offered a tip of the cap to a man who's been calling their games for 20 years. Bob Carpenter, the dulcet tones, some great, great soundtrack from him, particularly in the 2019 World Series. Love this moment. Obviously very emotional for him. And we've talked about the importance of broadcasters to baseball fan bases over the years, and names change, faces change inside those jerseys, but these broadcasters can stay for decades and leave an indelible mark.
Yeah, this was an incredible moment, and really classy by the Nationals, and Kevin Franzen in the booth there. I got to assume like he, probably started all this, went to the players and said, "Hey, can we do something?" I don't really know, but I'm assuming that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
And it brings me back. We had Dick Bremer for the Twins, called the games for 40 years and didn't have a proper send-off like this, which kind of, I look back on it and I wish they would have done something like that for him. But yes, the broadcasters they're important, and they're in your TV, bringing you the games. And, they, for as much as you want to talk about some of these guys, they're huge fans of the team.
Totally.
And most of the time they're conduits of what the fan base is thinking. They want to portray that, and they want to give the fans, exactly what they want. And I don't know, like, it just, when you're a player, you really don't think about it too much. But now that I've been on the outside and obviously been part of Boost, I understand the impact that these guys have on the totality of your fan base. It's big.
So Charlie, Bob, tip of the cap from those of us here at Baseball Today. Now let's get to some really, really good stuff. About a month ago, you looked at the Fangraphs playoff percentage possibility for my Cleveland Guardians, and it was basically 0.0. So here we are a month later. They have made baseball history, and Saturday they did it the hard way.
He got hit. It's over. The Guardians I mean, that's how we drew it up. That's actually funny. Slade Ciccone was saying, hit by pitch coming right here. I mean, I don't know if he was just talking or he felt something, but I mean, that might be the epitome of guard ball right there. That's how you do it.
All the adversity, all the ups and downs. I just couldn't be more proud of him. This feels really, really good. It's a choice you make every day. You can choose to let your emotions get the best of you. I have emotions. I'm feeling the same things everybody's feeling, but you make a choice, and that's I believe we're going to win today. I believe we're going to do this, and if I let my emotions get out of control, then everybody else does. So it's hard, but I love these guys, and I'm so proud of what they do every day.
And I am proud of you because I did let my emotions get in the way, and that's what happens when you're a fan. I really did not think this was possible. To be 15 and a half games back in July, to have lost 2 pitchers to a gambling investigation, to be the worst hitting team in the history of the sport to ever qualify for the playoffs. There is a ton going. How?
I mean, they pitched their ass off is how. I mean, that's how. And then I just love like the epitome of guard ball. Like, you know, Quan, by the way, towering over Kenny Rosenthal right there. The epitome of guard ball, clinching a playoff spot by a hit by pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And then our guy, Brian Rocchio, sealing the division win with a 3-run homer after giving up a homer to Rowdy Tellez. I mean, that is just, it's what they do. You can't explain it. You're a diehard fan. How am I supposed to explain it? I mean, 19-4 in their final 23 games. That coincided with the Tigers. I believe they were 7-17 in September. So you have these 2 just completely different momentum swings here. The Guardians on the way up, the Tigers on the way down. I mean, they play solid baseball and they get the timely hits and they move the runners. And I do think, I don't give managers a lot of credit all the time. I do think Stephen Vogt is the perfect guy for a team like this. An underdog in his own right. Like, just think about Stephen Vogt and like, what does he bring to the table as a player? That's like, you know, what kind of skill does he have as a player? And it was like bat to ball, and that's kind of about it. But it's just like his grit, his determination kept him in the league for a long time as a player, moves over to the manager of the Guardians and just kind of embodies that. Like, let's just get the job done. Like, let's get the job done in any way possible. And there was a bunch of really cool quotes when you go back and look at this Guardian team over the year, when they went through a couple different losing streaks. And gosh, I don't have the picture up right now, but there was one guy who was talking about, I can't wait to look back at this 8-game losing streak and say, remember how tough that was and where we're at now? And it came to fruition. And Stephen Vogt talking right there about, hey, we can't let our emotions get the best of us. Let's show up, let's put the work in, and good things will happen. I mean, he sets the tone for that team, and man, like they answered. It's what a wild ride, Chris.
It's incredible. It really is. I mean, we're talking about baseball history where no team had come from this far back to even lead a division, let alone win it. By the way, the Rocchio homer, it was the icing on top of the cake. They were going to win the division anyway because Detroit had lost.
Won the division.
But if that had been the one, that would have you would have gone, okay, there's some spooky, crazy baseball mojo shit that's happening here.
It was Slade Ciccone who said this quote. He says, I'm really looking forward to the end of the season when we look back at this 8-game skid and go, man, remember how tough that was? Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's an 8-game skid that became like a 10-game skid. They had another one where they lost 9 of 10 in August. And at that point, I think that's when you really felt it was going to be over, that they didn't feel like there was going to be any possibility. Now, what do they do with it from here? We're going to talk about that on Tuesday's show because they're going to have a playoff rematch with Tarek Skubal and the Detroit Tigers. But instead of it being a 5-game set like it was last year, it'll be a 3-game set. It'll all be played in Cleveland, but there's a lot of moving parts going on with it. All I can tell you is that, and I consider Stephen Vogt a friend. I've known him for a long time. When he came on Intentional Talk, I mean, part of the reason he had this bobblehead, and Voter, I apologize, your arm's broken, is because he came on our show and he did the impression in the NBA referee's outfit. And so ever since then, we've become friendly, and he's always been great to my family. And I just didn't think there was any way that he could rally this team. There's just not, if you look at their everyday lineup, there's just not a ton of talent outside of Jose Ramirez, Steven Kwan, and Kyle Manzardo. There's a bunch of guys that aren't everyday ball players, but they have to be. And they've been pressed into duty. And But I can tell you this, I never lost rooting interest in them. I might have lost faith in their ability to make the playoffs, but there's a big difference. Somebody was like, oh, well, you jumped off the bandwagon. That's bullshit. I never jumped off the bandwagon. I still watched. Nope. I watched every game. When you jump off the bandwagon, that means you have no interest.
I call me that for the Twins. I stopped watching the games.
I never stopped watching the Cleveland Guardians. I was extremely
You're also
frustrated.
a sicko.
I am a sicko.
Yeah.
But you look at this team, and there's no way you would have predicted that they, would have made the playoffs at the beginning of the year, because I certainly didn't. I had them at 80 wins. They ended up getting 88. And number two, that they never had the ability to make up the ground that they did. Very cool. I'm excited. I hope the ride continues. Yep.
I had them over their 82.5 win total at the beginning of the
did.
season. So, little pat on the back there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it was actually 82.5, to be honest with you.
They're another one of those teams like the Brewers. Like
Yeah.
every year their win total comes out because the computers don't like their lineup, and then I'm like, okay, this is baseball.
You're right. This is baseball, Susan. So as I mentioned, they're going to take on the Tigers. We will break down that best of three series coming up on Tuesday's wild card preview show. But I want to focus on Detroit a little bit, because it really could have gotten ugly, like sliding all the way out of the postseason. They did get that one win they needed at Fenway, and that was enough.
The 1-1. Softly to Ibanez. To first. Tigers are heading back to the postseason.
You tell me that's not a sigh of relief right there from a team who was journeying in the wrong direction after playing so well for so long, Dan.
Check the records come Tuesday. Everybody's 0-0, the teams that are playing. So we're going to take that to heart, obviously. And we've been one of the best teams in baseball all year. We need to go out and prove it. But getting a new start at 0-0, we're going to see what happens.
So you're right, AJ Hinch. You do get a clean slate come Tuesday in Cleveland. This team was the best squad in the American League for the first half of the year and then some. How dangerous is it moving forward?
It's all relative how dangerous they are. 59-38 in the first half, like you mentioned, 28-36. I told you about the 7-17 in September. I fully agree with AJ Hinch. You're not going to hear me say that a ton. I the same way I talk about when the batter's struggling and then the numbers on the board say 0. And it's a completely new thing. I think that changes your psyche. I think, number one, finally clinching a playoff spot was a huge weight off their shoulders. And then again, it's the clean slate, I think, plays in the Tigers' favor so much. So you have this momentum, like I said, for the Guardians skyrocketing upwards and the Tigers going the opposite way. I don't think any of that matters. Like, I don't think you can look at that and say, hey, this team has stunk for the last month, and this team's been going wild, and that's the reason they're going to win the series. It's not going to be that whatsoever. So I think this is going to be a great series. I wish it was more. People forget how good that DS was last year. Back and forth, like Lane Thomas, David Fry, like all these guys coming up.
Kerry Carpenter had a huge home run against Emmanuel Clase.
That's what it's Clase, right? Like, man, like what a great series. I think we're going to get the same thing here. And again, I don't think this like bad spell is going to leak into the playoffs for the Tigers whatsoever. And we've seen, Chris, and this has got to be a little scary for any team that's in the wild card. Game 1 means so much.
Huge.
10 of 12 teams to win the series have won game 1. I believe that's the number. So you're going up against Tarek Skubal. I know Gavin Williams has been great. But this is a guy who's going to win back-to-back Cy Youngs. I think if you're a Tigers fan, you just say, wash it. Let's go win game 1. And then I think it's all out the window for them. I think they finally do unleash the pitching chaos.
Yeah. I think they're actually in pretty decent shape, right? They're playing a team with which they're really familiar. Now, Cleveland fans will rebut that and say, well, hold on. We won 2 games in the last 10 days of the season in which Tarek Skubal started.
Yes.
Doesn't mean we beat him, but it does mean, although they did beat him in that second game, the one in Cleveland. Like I said, we're going to break down the series, but I do think if you're a Detroit fan that you can try and wash it the best you can, even though the Tigers lost 12 of their last 15 and immensely struggled. They weren't hitting the ball at all. The guys that they needed to rely on in the bullpen didn't always come through. And I Do I think that they can win the series in Cleveland? Absolutely. Do I think they can then go to Seattle? I will say this. Skubal would pitch game 2 in Seattle on Sunday, and then he would pitch game 5 back in Seattle if it gets to that.
It's pretty good. Guardians, Skubal against the Guardians this year, 28 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs.
Right.
And there were some bunts. The last game they were bunting, kind of had a blow up inning. You got to do that again, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you got to run it back. You got to, to put the ball in play, maybe flash some bunts here and there, just get him off his rocker. Skubal can get emotional out there.
Yes, he can. Yeah, and there are. I'm sure it was in your playbook back in the day against a guy like CC Sabathia.
Yep.
You always want to try and rattle somebody's cage, get them uncomfortable, fielding the baseball. They start thinking about it. I mean, the thing with David Fry, you weren't here when we had to talk about this, but, right after the ball hits Fry in the face, he throws a wild pitch. He has a balk in there in the same inning, and he hiked the ball 100 feet down the line. It just was a crazy, crazy few plays with Tarek Skubal on the mound. But I think the Tigers should be okay. Cleveland fans, Detroit fans, get in the comments. Let us know how you're doing getting ready for that series. Let's move over to the National League, where the great state of Ohio will be well represented there. The Reds are in. They are playoff bound for the first time since 2020, despite losing the season finale up in Milwaukee. That's because the mighty Miami Marlins, one of the best teams in baseball over the last 6 weeks of the season, came up big. They blanked the New York Mets. So yes, the Reds, who were a 6 back of the Mets just over 3 weeks ago, are now off to face LA in round 1.
They're a team, and they act like a team. They play like a team. We go through tough times like a team. Now we're going to party a little bit like a team.
Being a lifelong Reds fan, we want this. We're going to go on a journey. This is step 1 of our goals, and we freaking did it, baby. We did it. You can't kill the Reds. You can't kill the Reds. We're in it. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody better to party with than Brent Suter these days, huh?
He had the dance moves going too. We were trying to get Jake to learn the dance moves. He's like, I'm a pretty good dancer. I don't think I got that in the bag.
That was incredible stuff. It really was a wild look.
Is there nothing better? A bunch of guys shared a common goal. You accomplished it over a long season, and then you just get to spray champagne all over each other and drink beers and just act a fool.
Act a fool.
There's nothing better.
You talked about Stephen Vogt getting an immense amount of credit. How much credit should Terry Francona get at his first year in Cincinnati?
I mean, obviously a lot. I said at the beginning of the season, Terry Francona doesn't come out of retirement for some, what my actual quote was, an earmuffs. I said some bullshit ass roster. I think this is a pretty good roster. Yeah, look out. I got a story for you after the show. No, I mean, he does deserve credit because, you have to keep these guys believing, can't kill the Reds, all of these things. A tone does get set in the clubhouse by a manager. Okay. And you might have some players that also set the tone. And most of the time that is the case as well. But, Terry Francona, a guy that's been there, done that, been a part of teams, with the Indians and Guardians that maybe didn't have the best overall roster or weren't supposed to be the favorites, but just, continue to grind out day after day. That is a Terry Francona mentality that he imparts on the team. But I do think the Reds deserve some credit. I mean, they've put together a pretty good roster, and really specifically for me, I look at the pitching, and obviously the starting pitching can be great and can go toe to toe with anyone, but the way they figured out the back end of the bullpen and Pagan kind of stepping up and Santillan, being the other high leverage guy, figuring it out, I think that's been immense for them. I think that this series in particular, the Reds and the Dodgers, I know everyone's going to be picking the Dodgers, and rightfully so. They are set up. They've come into their own over the last, couple weeks, month, if you will, in all their facets of the game. But, dude, this Reds pitching is no freaking joke, Chris. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the reason they are where they're at. Tito deserves some credit, but I'm going to go to this pitching staff and say, look, we've heard it from a lot of different teams. Jose Trevino said that everyone kept saying it to them during the year. Nobody wants to face you guys in a 3-game set or a 5-game set. It's true.
It is
like
true.
This is that team that if they get on a heater with their starting pitchers, which they can, they don't have to score a ton of runs. And you know what? They might have Nueve Marte hit a 3-run homer or Ellie, do something fantastic offensively. But I don't think they necessarily need that to be successful in the playoffs. Like they can ride this pitching staff.
They can. They have not won a playoff series since they beat the Dodgers in the divisional round in 1995. It has been 30 years. So we'll see what happens there. For me, a lot of credit does go to Tito, and it should, because this isn't a one-off for him. This is a consistent pattern now, right? He started his managerial career in Philadelphia. He was very young. He said he was somewhat overwhelmed, and the city got under his skin a lot. And I think he took a year away from that role. He was in Cleveland for a season. He became a bench coach, I believe, out in Oakland for a little while, and then he jumped back in the managerial ring. And why don't you just go both feet to the fire in Boston, which had just lost Game 7 of the ALCS in a walk-off again, by Aaron Boone, and he takes over for Grady Little up there. And what does he do? He breaks an 86-year curse. He not only gets Boston to the playoffs, he breaks a curse. Then they, just like every managerial job, it has a lifespan, particularly one in as tough a grindy city as Boston. Loses his way with chicken and beer in the clubhouse. See ya. Goes to Cleveland. Maybe that was the year he had a year in Oakland as a bench coach. I forget however it worked, but he goes to Cleveland in 2013, ends up going on a remarkable September run to get into the 1-game playoff. They lose. Has a great run in Cleveland, adds to his Hall of Fame resume, takes another year off, gets well healthy, enjoys Cincinnati. Hey, he's just a tone setter, man. You just talk to guys, they all love playing for him. He gets it. He doesn't have a ton of rules. He doesn't hold meetings. He doesn't believe in it. He just go out and do your thing, and it's really on you. I will say this, a lot of credit's going to go to the New York Mets here. And I hate this for my Cincinnati friends because I've got a bunch of them, but we have to be honest. The Reds caught the Mets by going 14-11 the last month. 14-11. What'd you say?
They ended on a flurry, though.
They did, but 14-11, that's not like this remarkable run they went on. They went 33-32 in the second half. 1 game over 500. They 48-45 since they were a season worst 10 games behind the Mets in June. 3 over 500. The Mets had to step on their dick in order for the Reds to get in here. And I'm not saying, oh, Reds, you got lucky, but y'all got lucky, and it's okay. There's no reason to feel bad about it. Take it and run with it. Go upset the world champs. Keep the run going. No. Hey, dude, these are facts.
I never heard that expression before.
Oh, never heard of that?
I feel like if you get step on it, that means you're packing.
Yeah, but it means you're tripping over it.
I don't know. Okay. Continue.
Who knew that we were going to have major genitalia talk on the
this is like kind of an R-rated show, isn't it?
Playoffs. So there you go. And Reds fans, nothing to apologize for, but let's call it what it is.
The offense has been bad. There's no doubt about it. It's not their calling card. Do they have some guys that can turn it on? Absolutely. But yeah, it's been about their pitching staff that's kept them in games. The most shocking guy to me is Emilio Pagan in the back end of the bullpen, and he worked a ton to get them there. I believe it was 4 games in a row to end the season to get them into the playoffs. That's awesome. Cool story.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have to rely on that big time, man. And they're going up against, Blake Snell, who's been. There's not a guy on the Reds that's had any success against him except for Andujar, who's like, I don't know, what do you really pitch around him? You know what I mean? It's going to be very, very tough. As I mentioned, the Dodgers I feel like they're just really coming into their own in all facets of the game. But in this short 3-game set, anything can happen. You go steal game 1, and it is pressure to the max on the other team.
Yep. A lot of this is going to be on Hunter Green, who's going to get the ball in game 1 as he returns home to Los Angeles. Went to Notre Dame High School, the same one that Giancarlo Stanton went to. Yes.
I mentioned this on Talking Baseball. Think about the Mission League represented in the playoffs right now. It's insane. 4 Harvard Westlake kids, 2 Notre Dame kids, and there's probably some other guys I'm forgetting about.
Yeah, they produce good baseball in the state of California.
Sheesh.
Shocking. Well, it's only because you can play it 14 months a year if you want to. Reds, congrats. It's pretty cool. This episode, Baseball Today, it is brought to you by Square. Sports are something that help bring neighborhoods together. So whether it's a sports bar dedicated to a specific fan base or a game day ritual involving the best wings in town, neighborhood businesses help grow communities. I got a great place right down the street. Usually I go there on Saturday. It's my one day off during the fall in between baseball watching and the NFL. And you know what? I have put baseball up there in the corner because college football actually takes center stage. But it's fun to just hang out with some of the dudes, have a few suds, call it a day. And neighborhood businesses, they help make a community feel unique and welcoming. They're the spots that people love. They're almost like a second home. When local shops are successful, the whole area benefits. Shopping nearby keeps money circulating locally, helps small business owners grow. That community support matters. And even one visit can have a real impact. Now, Square partners with more than 4 million neighborhood businesses worldwide, celebrating their role in keeping communities vibrant. So here's what we want you to do. Go to square.com/today. You can learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, we'll see you in the neighborhood. One place we will not see the New York Mets, the playoffs. The team that has the second highest payroll in the sport behind the Los Angeles Dodgers. The team that paid a whopping $800 million for Juan Soto to take them from NLCS loser to World Series participant will be watching just like the rest of us.
And he pulls one on the ground, a chance for two. To second one, back to first. And the Mets agonizing 3.5-month slow motion collapse is complete.
It's kind of beyond frustration. I think it's just straight up disappointing, and there's no other way to sugarcoat it, and it's just the way it is. I mean, again, super talented team, and the reality is we fell short. I mean, we didn't even get talked over. We fell short.
I mean, it's a failure. Anytime you don't make it to the playoff or win a championship, it's a failure, you know. That's how we're going to look at it, and that's how we're going to go through things in the offseason.
So that's Juan Soto right after Pete Alonso, who said he will opt out of the final year of his 2-year deal with the Mets. How the hell do we explain what we saw over the last 3 months?
Oh, I mean, you can start with a bunch of different things. I mean, the rotation kind of falling apart, then getting put back together by some rookies. I don't think that was, necessarily a good thing for them. The offense, which, on paper, you look like, hey, this can be a really good offense, just really inconsistent. I think that's an issue there. So not a lot lining up together, not a lot of great offensive streaks going on there, not a lot of great pitching streaks going on. And when that happens, you're kind of just like, you're just middling. You're not, I mean, Chris, I have like these weird numbers here that I'm going to share with you. I don't really like going into like numbers. I think they get boring. But the Mets here, 174 days out of 186 possible days, they were in a playoff spot. Like that has to hurt so bad. We're talking about 12 days you didn't spend in a playoff spot. They were up a half game in the division on August 2nd. And then they lost 10 of 11. Like it was a season of streaks for them, and most of them were bad. And I don't know where you go. Because I like the roster they put out there. I said, yeah, they probably could have used some better starting pitching to start the year. They kind of proved me wrong at the beginning of the year, but then over the course of the season with some injuries and some underperformance, it just proved to be too much for them. The bullpen, they tried to shore up at the deadline. I thought they did a good job at the deadline, getting in Mullins and Helsley, and those two additions didn't really do much. And I just think it was, I don't know, man. Inconsistency is one way you can say it, but there was just a bunch of like losing streaks during the year. And I guess that's my point. If you don't have like a bona fide like ace, you can go on losing streaks. You need a stopper, and they didn't really have that this year. 14 of 17 from June 13th through July 2nd. I mean, like there was just big gaps where they just didn't play good ball and they didn't have anybody to step up and stop them from losing. And you need these stoppers. I think the Mets will take that into the offseason. Steve Cohen just issued a huge apology on his social media.
Yeah. You know what? Let's read that real quick, Dan, if you've got that. The Mets fans everywhere, I owe you an apology. You did your part by showing up and supporting the team. We didn't do our part. We will do a postmortem and figure out the obvious and less obvious reasons why this team didn't perform up to your and my expectations. We're all feeling raw emotions today. I know how much time and effort you've put into this team. The result was unacceptable. Your emotions tell me how much you care and continue to motivate the organization to do better. Thank you. That was Monday, early afternoon, New York time when that was put out. June 12th, they had the best record in baseball. They proceeded to go 38-55. 4 teams had a worse record. 4 teams. The rest of the way.
Rockies.
Yeah.
A's. No, not the A's.
I believe the Twins.
Rockies, Twins, Nationals, and who else is it?
Yeah. Whomever it was, it's not good. They're not going to October is our point. It's disgraceful. I don't know what other word to use. And I've got a ton of friends that are Mets fans. For God's sakes, I tried to talk Jolly off the ledge a week ago. Last Tuesday, he was like, season's over. I was like, season's over. You got 6 games left, bro. He goes, no, it's over. And that's a guy who's only in his mid-20s. He's not some crusty old fuck like my age. This is supposed to be the best time of his sporting life. And they just came off losing to the Dodgers in 6 games in the NLCS. They have the Alonso home run off of Devin Williams. They steal a player from the New York Yankees, and they paid him $800 million because money is no obstacle with their owner, who has said, we want to be the Dodgers East Coast version. And they take an enormous step back. And so the one obvious thing, when you look and say, yeah, the talent seemingly felt like it was there at the beginning of the year.
No, don't say it.
Maybe a little short on starting pitching. What do you think I'm going to say?
Manager.
Well, manager and clubhouse chemistry, which are 2 things that we can't talk about because we're not on the inside every day. So I'm not going to go there. These screaming heads who want to say, well, fire the manager, it's all his fault. I don't know if it is. They try to get players to bite in the post-game interviews and say how much of this is on the manager, and nobody would really take the bait. They were like, look, at the end of the day, the players are the ones on the field. What do you want him to do?
Outside looking in, it does feel like the chemistry is weird on that team.
It does. Now, it does feel that way. Whether it is or isn't,
it's been weird. Like, that's like, let's just call a spade, Chris. Like, this is a team that has not had a great track record with clubhouse atmosphere. We're talking about, your guy Frankie and Jeff McNeil fighting and doing that whole raccoon bit.
I thought it was a big rat.
I thought it was a raccoon.
We can't even
either way. Like, there's been some documented stuff of some shenanigans in that clubhouse. But yeah, on the outside looking in, it feels strange. What do you do with Pete Alonso? Like, he's going to get paid. You got to pay him now. There's not going to be another 1-year player option deal. Like, that's off the table. Like, it's not going to happen. So do you pay him or do you go try to get some starters? And maybe they're in a better spot next year with their starters because these young guys came up and they look pretty damn good. Like, they look like they're going to have a decent rotation. But do you go out and try? I don't even know who's available. Who's available that's a starting pitcher right now? It's going to be a free agent. Zach Gallen?
Yeah, it's not a great list. Merrill Kelly. Yeah.
Like, guys that you want a bona fide ace to go. They don't have that. Is McLean that guy? Maybe. I don't know.
You know what it doesn't feel like? It feels like they don't have enough dogs. That's what it feels like. Right? When you watch the Phillies play, hey, I'll say this about the Dodgers. Like, they do have players that grind. It might be a little glitz and glamour and stuff, but they've had some guys that have had to work their way around baseball to make it. They weren't all bonus babies right out of the gate. Not all of them. Now, they eventually became superstars. But
let me look at the dogs on this team. If I can name any dogs on this team.
On the Mets?
You're kind of right, dude.
Right? Like, Brandon Nimmo's the longest tenured Met. Does he feel like a dog to you? He feels like a really nice guy.
Feels like a nice guy.
You know? Like Lindor, what do you think? I mean, I've always liked Francisco. You played against him for years.
I think he can be a dog.
I think he can be too.
I think in this situation, maybe not, but I think he's a dog. I do think he's a dog.
I don't think you paid Juan Soto $800 million. I think you paid him to work his way on base and to go hit homers, and that's exactly what he did.
Is that weird to say I don't think Juan Soto's a dog?
No, I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
I mean, look, again, people are going to be like, you sucked. You don't know what you're talking about.
Awesome.
I get my stats compared to Juan Soto. I understand that. That's just my feeling. Yeah, there's guys that are dogs and guys that are just really good at baseball. And this guy's, I mean, is it hard to be a dog when you get $800 million coming your way? I think it is.
I'll tell you who I do think is a guy that can lead. He's got to become more consistent as Alvarez. Right? The last 2 years, he's had those 2 huge homers where he's turned to the dugout and been like, let's go. Like, if you're a Mets fan, I think you like that. Not everybody can be like that because then it gets weird and played out and you know who's faking it and who's not.
Gosh, I don't know, Chris. Yeah, I'm just looking at this roster right now. It's a pretty dang good roster.
It feels that way. How the hell did they miss the playoffs?
And like the bullpen ended up being pretty good. Like they had their guys there.
I'm serious.
Like they had like decent starting pitching too. Like Peterson was great. Clay Holmes, I thought, did a really good job this year. These young guys that came up, awesome. They dealt with a few injuries here and there. Is it just the curse of Paul Blackburn getting hurt?
Stop that.
I don't know what it was. You tell me. Like I'm trying to put a finger on what the fuck happened with the Mets, and I really can't.
No, because if you're going to point to the manager and clubhouse chemistry, that's stuff that you can't make a definitive statement about. You just can't. I need to hear from the Mets fans.
Yeah, tell us when you think this started. I mean, it was a slow bleed. Like this wasn't like the Tigers hemorrhaging in September. This was like just a slow bleed,
right?
For what the last 3 months,
right?
It's like what the hell was it?
Dude, they had a 6-game lead with just over 3 weeks to go and blew it.
I call it a slow bleed, but I just mentioned like 10 of 11 after August 2nd, 14 of 17. These are losses, by the way. June 13th through July 2nd. Like there were some losing streaks.
All right. Some people will say that it's just the dark cloud that hangs over the franchise. Now, we did mention with about 2 weeks to go that their season would end in Miami, and they have had seasons past, namely 2007. It happened instead in New York, where Miami took it to them on the last day of the season, and they didn't qualify for the playoffs. But we looked ahead. The Marlins restacked their starting rotation so that they could get their 3 best pitchers to go, which is awesome. That's the way I think you should play it. You should play it like, hell, if we're not going to the party, we're dragging you underwater with us. That's exactly what happened. And listen to this little clip from the SNY booth after the game.
I'm watching the Marlins. They just took a team picture in front of their dugout like they're going to the postseason.
Oh, this was their World Series.
Oh,
they took 2 out of 3, knocked the Mets out of the postseason. We saw the Reds celebrating in Milwaukee.
Ron, if anything, I would applaud the Marlins that they gave a shit. How many teams have the U-Hauls packed on that last Sunday of the season? They cannot wait to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, I did not like that from the booth. Big fan of Ron Darling.
Me too.
I didn't like that from the booth at all. This is a team that had basically zero expectations coming into the year. New managers, low payroll, whatever it was. They played really, really well, much better than the Mets did over the last couple months of the season.
Way better.
So yeah, like you got beat, and these guys are stoked. This was if you're Clayton McCullough, and you're saying at the end of the season, like, guys, I know that we're not going to be in the postseason, but let's treat this like it. Yeah, maybe not our World Series, but this is we're about to knock a team out. What's the difference between this and the postseason? We're knocking you out of playoff contention. I think it's awesome.
I think it's great. I think they should be applauded for the way they've played the last 2 months. I know that people say, Rose, they're big leaguers. They're getting paid. True, but they didn't let it get south and get away from them, and they treated the final series like you would want. I mean, the Reds should go down to Miami and just be like, they should vote those guys a playoff share.
I think there's a lot of animosity between the Marlins and the Mets. As you mentioned, this has happened before, and it's not. Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of that, but yeah, they should be doing that. And I'll contradict myself immediately because I want to get your take on this. The Ollie Marmol walking of Mike Bush when he had a chance to have a hit for the cycle, he intentionally walks him. Is that him putting his best foot forward, even though the Cubs, like, there was nothing, they're not playing for anything.
They're not playing for a thing. They were locked in.
That was just a rivalry thing, or I guess it is a little different. I hated it, but I think a lot of people liked it because it's like rivalry and he's like a bad guy, like, or he's trying to be the villain there a little bit. What'd you feel?
I don't know. I think at that point, if nothing matters in the game, you just say, let's see our best against your best. I want it for competition's sake. Now, if there's something to be played for and it made sense to do it.
It made sense in the game because Bush has been going off and he was raking, so Walk can't face the next guy, but there was no implications in that.
That's what I'm saying. There's no implications for either team or affecting any team outside of that area. So I would just say, screw it. Let's go see what you got, man.
So you're calling Ollie Marmol soft?
Not soft. If he's trying to win the game, I would never call somebody soft.
He had a little smirk. Like he knew what he was doing.
He did. Yeah, he did.
I mean, maybe I'm back on Ollie Marmol because of that. He said, I don't care. I'll be the villain.
Hopefully we'll see him next season. I hope he gets to live through this. I know that we've had some interesting discussions about him, but I would like to maybe see him try and get another chance to get through whatever the Cardinals are trying to get through.
Also, for the Mets, just one more dagger. You lost the series in September against the Reds. You just win one more game. I thought you won the first game of the series. You lost the next two. You didn't score. I don't think they even scored. They got shut out the next two games. Just win that.
Listen, I don't think that Mets fans are sitting here saying, well, you know, we got screwed. And no, I think they're all like, we dropped it. We dropped it. Need to hear from you in the comments.
The Yankees. I guess Yankees Red Sox is going to be very interesting.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
AL East, speaking of, went right down to the wire. The Yankees pushed the Blue Jays, where Toronto actually had to go on a little win streak, and that happened over the weekend.
2-2 again. And a drive to deep left field. Gone!
Just a great day, honestly. Very exciting for, obviously, the team, but, you know, the organization, it's been 10 years, so, you know, I know living here, being in Toronto for as long as I have, I know how much everybody still talks about the 15 and 16 teams. So, you know, to win the division here means a little bit more. So just really excited that we were able to do it.
That was an Alejandro Kirk grand slam, followed by the sounds of yesterday's starter, Kevin Gausman. So 20-game turnaround from 2024, which was a horrid year for the Blue Jays, to this year where they're not only AL East champs, but the 1 seed going into the playoffs. How surprised are you about the turnaround?
I'm very, very surprised. I felt the same way. I think the Royals did that from 23 to 24, that huge, massive difference in games won. I think this was a pretty good roster going into the year. I think there were question marks. There was Vladdy stuff going on. But they, you know, throughout the season, you continue to see just like some of these auxiliary players just continue to step up throughout the year. And then they made a great trade for Shane Bieber, and Gausman was lights out. And at the end of the year, they had a young guy come up in their rotation, Nia Savage. So it's like they kind of went through like the proper order of things for, you know, I don't know for a division winning team, but for a team to make it into the playoffs and have a successful year, they kind of went through all of those. So I've had to really kind of change the way I felt about the Blue Jays. I thought, you know, hey, pretty good team, but I think they're scary in all the right areas where they can lay it on you offensively. They can also play a great defense too. I think and we noticed this, Chris. I think we talked about it throughout the year. They're one of the more like complete rosters in baseball. Like there's not a ton of holes in that team, and I think it was cool that they really want to win the division. Like you know, a lot of times we don't place an emphasis on that because of, you know, 12 teams making the playoffs and the success that the wild card teams have had, and just make it and see what happens. Like, they place an emphasis on, let's win the division. Let's show that we are not just happy to be here. Like, we are one of the best teams in the American League, or they did have the best record, didn't they?
They did.
So like that, to me, that's real momentum that you could bring in to the playoffs.
You know what, though? It was ballsy that he started Gausman.
Yeah.
That's huge, because if it didn't work out for them, they were going to be the 4 seed, and they weren't going to have him available until earliest on 3 days rest for Game 3 if they would have needed him. That would have been an all-time managerial second-guess head-scratcher, but he went with it. Even though Gausman didn't pitch his best game of the year, they obviously got a ton of offensive support. As far as the team, when you look at the guys they brought in, Santander, lost season because of injury.
Yeah.
Jimenez, horrible offensively, still a great glove, also had his injury issues. Max Scherzer never really got going except for a little bit of a stretch. And then Hoffman, who has done the job, but it's been rickety. He's a little bit of a white knuckler because he does lead American League relievers in home runs allowed this year. So the guys that they brought in, it was more of the guys that they signed from yesteryear or traded for yesteryear.
Big bounce back years.
Right. Like, you know, we saw Bo Bichette, even though he was a draft pick, he's a guy who rebounded and turned into Bo Bichette, and hopefully he's okay for the playoffs. He's got a few extra days to rest before they need him next weekend. George Springer finally got it going. Gausman has been really there. He's been very consistent. But, yeah, I mean, this team went from, God, I can't believe they didn't even contend to the playoffs last year, to this. And it's awesome to see Toronto fans enjoy this run. Really cool.
You finally stopped picking to go to the World Series.
I know. That's what happens. The minute I get off that train, good things happen. You don't want anybody from Cleveland rooting for your squad. It's a death knell right there.
This is, if you haven't followed the Blue Jays and you're a fan of different teams, now you're going to be tuning in for the postseason. It's a really, really fun team to watch.
They are. And that place will be rocking for Game 1 on Saturday. Really loud.
Shout out my guy, David Popkins, baby. Hitting
first time since 2016, the playoffs will go on without the Houston Astros. They were eliminated Saturday night officially when Cleveland got the ouchie walk-off win.
I think understanding that, there was some unfortunate injuries and things that happened along the year. But, that's part of it. I think good teams find a way anyway, and we almost did. We were close, but
we have a great team. When we're healthy on paper, we're the team to beat.
All right, that was Carlos Correa, and before that was Christian Walker. They did have an immense amount of injuries. Is that the only thing that's holding this team back, or does it feel like the window is shutting?
I honestly don't feel like the window is shutting. I think getting Framber out of there is probably going to help them. I know on the field he's been great, but I started to hear rumblings, when all this stuff was coming out, that maybe not the best clubhouse guy.
He's a knucklehead, bro.
Yeah, so letting him go do his thing. You have a bona fide ace in Hunter Brown. Basically no Yordan Alvarez for them this year. He's going to be back. Christian Walker hopefully will be better next year. You got Carlos Correa back in the fold. Like, there's a lot of things to like about where this team is going to be next year. I mean, Jeremy Pena with an incredible year this year. Like, they have the makings of a good roster for next year. I don't worry about them there at all. If they can stay healthy, have these guys on the field, I don't think the window is shut. And in fact, I think, like I said, they might be better off bringing Carlos back, getting rid of Framber. I think that might be like kind of what ignites what we'll see in 2026 for this team.
Yeah, I hate using injuries as a crutch, but I think it's factual here. Like, I think what Carlos Correa said, I don't know if they're one of the best teams in baseball, but it certainly prevented them from getting anywhere close to it. And by the way, look at the standings. They finished tied with the Detroit Tigers.
Yes.
They lost the tiebreaker against them. 28 Astros players spent time on the injured list this season. 28. That is an inordinate number. Both Baseball Prospectus and Fangraphs estimated that the club lost more potential value on the injured list than any other team in the sport. And you highlighted it about Yordan. He played just 48 games this year. Yeah.
You need your guy. You need Yordan in that lineup.
Right. And do I think that they need to make some changes? Yeah, I think they probably need to go out and add a different frontline pitcher than the guy who's been thrown with his left hand the last several years. A guy that you can emotionally count on and not be a destabilizing force in the locker room. Because he did some bullshit there over the years. He did show up, pitched every fifth day, and for the most part was excellent. But
I love watching him pitch, man.
Yeah, but you know what, bro?
Can you separate the art from the artist? I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. Even, hey, the Red Sox tired of Manny Ramirez. They just did. After a while, it plays out. That stuff gets, you've been in the clubhouse long enough to know that can, when you're playing 162 games.
There are some times, man, I haven't had a ton of teammates like that because I think the Twins always did a good job of trying to get high character guys in, but you would they stick out like a sore thumb, and it is like what is going, it affects a clubhouse.
It's horrible. It's horrible. All right, once again, we're going to preview the wild card round. It'll be out very early, like first thing Eastern time, Tuesday morning. So go get it, consume it before you sit and watch 4 amazing baseball games. But before we do that, we haven't looked back at our preseason predictions. I don't remember them. I have an idea how we did. You're not excited about this?
I mean, I know who I picked to be in the postseason, and my AL is bad, Chris.
All right.
My NL is fine. My AL is bad.
Well, let's see how we did. You have Red Sox. This is Red Sox, Twins, Mariners, Rays, Rangers, Royals.
2 of the 6 teams. That's it.
And you only got 1 as the right champion.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That's rough, huh?
What happened, guys?
Who you most... All right, here's me in the American League. Yankees win in the East. No. Tigers win in the Central. Astros the West. Red Sox, Rangers, Royals. So I only got 3.
And 1 division winner, right? So, yeah.
And 1 division
winner,
right.
You got no division
winner. Oh, I got none. No divisions. So who did better? You got 1 division winner, but only got 2.
You got 3 of the 6 teams.
What do you think?
We both suck. Bad.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
But we knew that. What did we say? AL was a crapshoot. No, the NL was the class of the league.
I think I win closest to the pin because I had Yankees who almost won the East. I had Tigers who almost won the Central. I had Astros who almost won the West. Not really almost won the West. All right, let's go to
my NL.
No, National League. Braves, Cubs, Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers, Diamondbacks. That's not terrible. You got 4 of the 6.
Braves, obviously, huge disappointment. And D-backs were close-ish.
Yeah, you got 1 division winner.
Yeah.
Okay. You did call the Mets, Plouffe.
I did. I had no New York teams in the playoffs. And, Rob Manfred's not going to have that. I should have thought about that.
Oh, all right. Let's see how I did on the National League. Braves, Cubs, Dodgers, Phillies, Mets, Diamondbacks. So I did worse than you.
Well, you got 4 of the 6 as well.
No, I got 3.
No, you got 3? Oh, because...
This is just not good.
It was a tough year this year, Chris. I don't think we need to beat each other up. What did you have for the World Series?
You have the Dodgers. Who do you?
I have Dodgers over the Red Sox in 5 games. That's
and I think I have the Phillies over the Tigers, if I remember.
Oh, nice. We got a chance.
We do have a chance. God, I'm not rooting for it to happen though. I want that. I'd like a different American League representative. I'm okay with the Phillies being in there. Oh. We'll give you our postseason. We'll fill out a bracket and do it, restart it, and we'll do a postseason. Yes. What?
I know we're going to talk about this. We're filming later tonight for consumption early tomorrow morning, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
That momentum Guardians have and the Tigers don't have doesn't mean a thing.
I know it doesn't. You don't have to tell me. I'm very worried, but I knew that going in. The minute the Guardians, CJ Kafis got hit by the pitch, I was like, okay, well, we're facing a monster left-hander on Tuesday, whether he's named Scooble or Crochet. That's what we're looking at. So that's all right. It's all good. They're playing, and I can't wait to watch the wild card. I love it that we just get to sit there and watch 4 baseball games in a row, and I don't have to move from my couch. I got to get my workout in early. Got to move.
Do I have a mustache?
You do look like you got a mustache. Yeah. All right. Great, fun regular season. You can even tell us your favorite moment of the year if you want. You want to share that in the comments, what you loved most. We're here. We are locked in. We are ready to go for the month of October. We'll give you some extra shows around the World Series time as well. We cannot wait. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, our awesome intern, Sawyer, that is the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Tuesday with our wild card edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by Mountain Dew.